G'day, Nath.
How you doing, Chris?
Look, I know we recently did a Cinema Biosis episode on Jason Goes to Hell, you know, the ninth Friday the 13th movie, and we spoke a little bit about its troubled production, but I just feel there's so much more we could talk about.
We could certainly rant and rave about how to fix the premise. Maybe we could even talk about how we'd make our own sequel.
True. You want to talk trash about trash?
Yes, I do.
Look, I don't think the general idea of playing with the structure of a Friday the 13th movie is a bad idea necessarily. I just think they took it a little bit too far with Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, definitely. It got too muddled. They tried to go way too out there. They had to keep him at the lake.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a think about this. And I mean, if you wanted to kind of like change the Jason character a bit, I think having that beginning where they kind of kill him isn't too terrible. The way they do it isn't exactly great. But let's just say you do kill Jason. He's blown up. He's in pieces. An idea I had that could maybe work is, well, who killed him? Who's the organisation that kind of volunteer to blow him up? And what do they do afterwards? And I thought it could kind of be cool if it was like, I don't know, a private military company or something like that then is taking him away to their makeshift lab at Camp Crystal Lake to kind of test him and see what's keeping him alive. I don't know, maybe in a Resident Evil style way to see if they could kind of sell whatever it is that keeps him alive to militaries or something.
And try to weaponize him.
Yeah, and he's all kept in jars and things like that there while they're running these tests on him. And you can still see his heart beating and his head still looking around and those type of things. And, like his machete's kept like on the table and his hand's always trying to like reach out for it or whatever and kind of like a bit of a campy moment. But you could play with that a little bit. You could have someone like, I don't know, like the local sheriff be the main character who's suspicious of these people who are, doing these tests. And I don't know, maybe someone in the lab is like his ex-girlfriend or something like that. And she's, starting to have bad feelings about the situation. Playing with the dynamic and taking it somewhere completely new, but it's still built on the mythology of Jason where he's alive. He's not dying no matter what they do.
Yeah, he doesn't die. You're blown a bit, he's still alive. Like, all they have to do is put all his parts in one tank and he'll eventually come out all together ready to kill.
Yeah, he'll T-1000 it. He'll rejoin back up somehow. And I mean, like, you've mentioned that he's kind of like a land shark. Well, just take influence from Jaws or something. Just be like, the town's bankrupt. The mayor wants to redevelop Crystal Lake to turn it into like, I don't know, a new holiday destination or something like that. But they can't, because every time they try and build a house or build some property, what happens?
They all get butchered. Jason kills them all.
Yeah, exactly. So, this private military company's like, hey, maybe we could take care of that for you. And then you start to get like a bit of a deeper layer in there of kind of like, well, the town needs this to survive. That's why maybe they're dealing with this shady organisation.
Yeah, well, the sheriff, then questions it. And the mayor's like, no, it's fine. They'll take care of it. And then we'll have our holiday destination. We'll make money. Yeah, exactly. Very Jaws.
Yeah, very Jaws. And even a little bit of like George Romero kind of like commentary on kind of like, private military stuff. And I mean, if you really wanted to include your favourite thing in the world, Nathan, like, I don't know, something like a cult. Because you do love a good cult, don't you?
What is with cults? They never make sense.
Why don't you have like I don't know, like if you want to make it really schlocky, why don't you have like a crazy group of people who are like Jason obsessed?
Cult of Jason.
Yeah, and they're like traveling to Camp Crystal Lake because they kind of think he's this like divine being and they want to impress him, and it's kind of like a Manson family kind of situation, like a Rob Zombie set of characters.
They're all wearing hockey masks and shit.
Yeah.
And then they're right. Someone goes, "Is that a cult member?" No, he's not wearing a hockey mask.
Yeah. Like make it like a Devil's Rejects type of thing, but with like a hockey theme going on, and they're murdering people around America in the style of Jason, and and everyone's like, "Ooh, the legend of Jason lives on," or whatever. Because I have this like really dumb moment where, they break in to the facility where Jason's being kept and they're like, we're going to put you together again, Jason. And they like help him get together and they're like, yeah, man, he's alive. And they're all like so happy. And then he just machetes them.
Yeah, he just kills them. Well, he wouldn't care.
He doesn't care at all. He just wants to get home. And it's just about him trying to get back to Crystal Lake. And just, I don't know, like I know it's a dumb idea, but I think there's more there than there is in this film.
Yeah.
And there's more there that like stays with the mythology of the series. And again, if you have that cop character as your main character, you're getting away from the teens, which is something that, you know, they wanted to take it away from the standard kind of cliche. So you get that cop character, which could work.
Yeah, well, you see, if I was redoing it, I'd have it just have the no one's been there for years, so Jason's now just a myth, and there's kids at college and that, and they're like, I've been there, man, nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened. So they plan like this massive rave in there, and it's just like this. You bring hundreds of people into that forest, and then Jason's just on a free-for-all, just killing people.
Kind of like a full version of that scene from Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, exactly. Take the cornfield and elaborate on it. But like, you know, he could kill some kid who's got a hockey mask on, and then he picks it up and replaces his rotten old one with that one. But when he's walking around, it's got like that fluoro paint on it. They only see in like UV light. So he walks around, he's got like all these weird patterns and shit on his mask. He's killing people. He's getting covered in fluoro paint and shit. Like, that would be awesome.
It says rave to the grave on it or whatever.
I like my movies simple sometimes.
Yeah. I must admit, my kind of like theorized idea is to, you know, what was set out by the producers and the director at the time. But I'm in a similar boat where if they'll just like make a fun Friday the 13th movie, it's essentially the exact same idea as yours, except it's like a Halloween carnival at Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to cash in on the whole like myth of Jason, who hasn't, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's not kind of real, it's a bit of a myth, it's an urban legend. And they're having this big Jason themed Halloween event, and it's got, you know, little spooky haunted house rides and things like that. And of course, as soon as everyone's there, causing a ruckus, getting drunk, Jason awakes from the bottom of the lake. And you could have like, you know, your dumb scenes where like the person who's like dressed as Jason is like, you know, taking a slash away from like the carnival, and he turns around and there's the real Jason. He's like, man, your shift's not meant to start for like another hour. And then like Jason doesn't move, and he's like, Greg, what are you doing, man? And then Jason, of course, just murders him. Cuts him in twain.
Yeah, it's a Buster Rhymes moment, but instead of like Mike Myers just walks away, Jason actually just kills the guy. He's just like, yeah.
From Halloween Resurrection, yeah. The movie I pretend doesn't exist.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
I saw that in cinema with two other people, and one of them left halfway through.
Oh, yeah, I think you told me this. And what did the last person say?
The last guy, it ended and he went, oh, that movie sucked. I was like, yep.
Yeah, it does. But like, I like to imagine, you know, you've got your main characters, they get on your haunted house ride, and they're kind of like going through it. It's kind of your cheesy, like, ghosts coming out and stuff. But then outside, all hell is starting to break loose with Jason just massacring crowds. And, you know, like the power gets cut out for a second and they're all in the ride and they're like, oh, what's happened? And they're hearing all the outside, and they still think it's sound effects.
Yeah, and they're like, wow, this is pretty atmospheric.
Yeah, and then when the ride kicks back in, you know, they're getting towards the exit, and the guy who, like, is running it comes in, and all his guts are hanging out, and he's like, run, Jason's here! And they're all kind of like, oh, wow, those effects are great. And then, of course, you know, they come out, there's, like, cleaved bodies and stuff everywhere. And, I mean, look, all of our ideas are pretty campy, but it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah, with a carnival ride and all sorts of stuff. You could do things like a little, you know those little roller coasters that you see brought around to fairs? Someone going around on that, and they can see Jason walking towards it. Like, oh, God. And they get their heads cut off.
They can't stop.
They can't get out of it. Like, no.
Jason's just kind of holding the machete out, not even swinging. They're just them going past, and the heads are coming off.
Heads pop off.
Yeah, because look, you're meant to be setting up set pieces to play with the kills. That's what people want. And I mean, like, I didn't mind the newer Friday the 13th, the remake, but it was pretty dour. It was pretty serious.
Yeah, it was, but it had inventive kills. Like when he threw the axe and smashed that guy, that was probably my favourite kill.
Yeah.
But in that brings you back to Goes to Hell. They do callbacks to old kills.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't do that, because you're just reminding us of a better movie where there are more inventive kills.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I do think the new one has, like, cool kills, but they're less kind of campy, I guess, than, you know, the older films. Because it was around that time when they were trying to do that, like, Platinum Dunes reboot tone.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same kind of tone they had with, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes.
It worked for Hills Have Eyes and Texas Chainsaw Massacre more to an extent, but that's because I don't think anyone ever took Friday the 13th too seriously, if that makes sense.
The best films in the series are the ones that don't take themselves that seriously.
With psychic powers and stuff. Yeah,
and I mean, like, people often point at number 6 as being the best one, and that's the one that starts with the James Bond opening.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like, then it literally starts with him being raised like he's Frankenstein by getting shot with electricity.
Yeah, the third one's got the best theme, but the disco theme.
Oh, the disco theme. Yeah. How can people talk about it being this serious franchise when the third film in the series literally has a disco theme song? And then it ends with the exact same ending as number 1, except they just flip the characters. It's like they're not high art. They're meant to be fun.
Well, yeah, that's why Jason Goes to Hell fell apart. Was there was way too much plot. Like 10, Jason X, they just put him in space, but then it's just stupid kills and stuff like that. I think they realised that they don't need to have too much plot in the way.
Yeah, it makes me think as well, like, I know Camp Crystal Lake is the kind of the location of the series, and I know they were kind of gone, oh, this is kind of getting a bit boring, this is getting a bit too familiar, so let's move him to, say, like Manhattan or something like that, which is like what every movie in the 80s was doing. Things like Gremlins 2 and stuff like that, it just seemed to be the idea, take him to the big city.
Yeah.
But it's like, try and just find new settings to put him in. Like, I know you got to kind of script something ridiculous to get in there, but look, you can hand wave it away like they did in Jason 8, where they're just kind of like, oh yeah, Crystal Lake, yeah, he's in a boat. I guess the lake leads to the ocean? Shrugs? Like,
yeah, shrug. It's like, but it's a lake. It's a body of water surrounded by land. That's
look at that. Jason punched someone's head off. Don't worry about that for now. Just don't think about that.
Don't worry about that for now.
Like,
here's a cool guitar scene.
Yeah. Like, just figure out how to get Jason into, like, a skyscraper.
Yeah.
And have him in the skyscraper. Or just think about where you can transplant him into different settings if you're so worried about, you know, the repeated setting of Crystal Lake. Or, you know, building on our idea, have Jason hibernating for ages. He's been really hurt. It's taken him a long time to wake up. And when he wakes up, Camp Crystal Lake's been rebuilt into a new community. It's all suburbia.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Just different ways of getting him into different settings. Which, you know, that's what they're doing with the new Evil Dead movie as well.
Really? What are they doing with that?
So the new Evil Dead movie is going to take place in an apartment building, like a skyscraper.
What?
Yeah. And it's like a Sam Raimi produced one as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like going to be a sequel, or, I mean, as much as Evil Dead movies can be sequels because none of them match up timeline-wise. But yeah, it's going to be in a skyscraper.
Well, you can only do so much with the cabin in the woods.
Exactly. And it's like you can only do so much with the Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, with the Camp Crystal Lake, that's right, yeah.
I do actually have a bit of an affinity for skyscraper horror films, though. There's not many of them. I mean, the king of all of them is what? Poltergeist 3? Chef's kiss. The best Poltergeist movie.
No, then you got Critters 3, Critters 4.
One of them.
But it's more like a small apartment block, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen that in a long time.
I mean, you've got David Cronenberg's Shivers. That's in like a futuristic apartment complex. But you just essentially need to find new ways for Jason to get kills. You know, people, you know, he's making elevators stall, and then people are like trying to escape out of the elevator and they're half stuck out, kind of like that scene in Resident Evil. And then he's just guillotining them and things like that. Just got to be a little bit creative with it all, you know?
But that's it. In the end, all that people watch it for is the creative kills and a bit of fun. You're not putting that on in a room where everyone's sitting around quietly watching it. You've got it on in the background, like at a Halloween party sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, or you're watching it with your mates and having like a few beers and like having a good time. They're like party movies for horror fans.
Yeah, it's not a Lighthouse.
No, it's not. It's not like something you're going to mull over. And I mean, we love these films. We're saying this, but we love them. Like, I am wearing a different pair of Friday the 13th socks today, in that I wore another pair the other day. I have so many pairs of Friday the 13th socks. I've got a whole, like, an accurate Jason mask sitting over there. I'm looking at it.
We both had turns at dressing up as Jason on various Halloweens. Like,
so I mean, in general, Nathan, you would be excited to see new Friday the 13th.
Oh, definitely. Like, a lot of people talk about series that they're like, oh, they don't need to bring that back, just let it be. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street, you could do a lot there, but I don't think it needs to be done, personally. But Friday the 13th, it'd be good to just have some of that schlocky sort of horror come back.
Yeah. I'd be keen. I'd watch it. Like, even if it was something that I saw the trailer and I was like, doesn't really look for me. It doesn't really look like something I'll enjoy. I'll probably still go see it just to kind of support, slashers coming back, because I have a soft spot for them, warts and all, because they've got problems, and you can do readings on how they've got problematic portrayals of women and sexuality and things like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I like them because they're cultural kind of like touchstones. They're really important to the history of horror.
Yeah, I remember when the last remake came out, we were working together at a game store, and all the staff, we all went and saw it on the day it came out together. Like none of us were expecting anything amazing, but we all went and saw it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd be happy with anything as long as it isn't a found footage film.
Yeah, no, that found footage, that'd be terrible.